Imagine a plane so big passengers could sit in the wings. Yes, the wings. Now, picture the 1920s, a time when aviation was still getting off the ground. And here comes the Junkers G-38, a metallic behemoth that looked more like a flying building than an aircraft. And if you think this design impressed everyone, think again. To some, it was a marvel. To others, it was a flying metal death trap. So, what was this plane's deal, and why did it scare so many people? To understand why anyone would dare to build this airborne giant, we first need to meet the visionary behind it all, Hugo Junkers. Unlike others of his time, this German engineer saw airplanes as far more than just a means of getting from point A to B. For him, planes symbolized the ultimate progress. Hugo's career took off with smaller, highly efficient engines that quickly caught the attention of the aviation world. He understood efficiency went beyond fuel. It was about making every inch of the plane work harder. The 1920s and 1930s were full of ambitious designs, with engineers racing to build larger and faster aircraft. Experimental designs like the massive Dornier Do X and the Caproni CA-60 were also pushing aviation's boundaries, though few succeeded in regular flight. Hugo's early success in crafting streamlined, fuel-efficient engines paved the way for his obsession with large, all-metal designs. While others were building delicate planes from wood and fabric, Hugo pushed boundaries with his bold use of metal. He was convinced these all-metal designs represented the future of aviation. With the G-38, that vision took flight in a way the world had never seen. His goal? To create the largest passenger plane ever built, proving to skeptics that grand, luxurious air travel wasn't just a dream, it was achievable. Risky? Absolutely. But for Hugo, that risk was part of the thrill. Where others saw obstacles, he saw challenges to conquer, and that's how the G-38 came to life. This plane boasted a wingspan of 144 feet, almost half the length of a football field. This wasn't just big for its time. Even by today's standards, it's enormous. To put it in perspective, that's nearly the width of a modern Boeing 737. Initially, the G-38 took to the skies powered by two giant engines, but Hugo quickly realized they weren't strong enough to reliably lift this beast. So he doubled down, literally, adding two more engines to the mix. One of the biggest engineering feats of the G-38 was its advanced cooling system, designed to prevent the massive engines from overheating mid-flight. Engineers installed complex radiators along the wings that dispersed heat effectively, an innovative solution for such a large plane. So, with all four engines purring, or more likely roaring, the G-38 finally had the muscle to defy gravity. But what truly set this plane apart was Hugo's ingenious use of every inch of those massive wings. He transformed them into compartments that could carry both passengers and cargo, a completely new concept at the time. Imagine sitting inside a wing, feeling every rumble, every vibration, with the engine roaring just inches away. Not for the faint of heart, right? This design was bold, even visionary, but also extremely risky. Stability, weight distribution, and balance were nightmare challenges that Hugo's team had to solve just to get this thing off the ground. And while most passengers today don't worry about legroom in the G-38, you'd probably worry more about wing room. After all, you were literally sitting inside one. Now, if you thought the outside was impressive, the inside was an experience in itself. The Junkers G-38 was designed with luxury in mind: spacious cabins, leather seats, observation lounges, and, yes, seating in the wings with windows right next to the engines. It also featured panoramic windows that let passengers see miles beyond the horizon, a view unmatched in any other plane of its day. To create a relaxing ambiance, engineers installed custom lighting, ensuring that the plane's interior felt like a luxury lounge in the sky, even as the engines thundered nearby. But this luxury came with a twist. For the brave few who chose the wing seats, the experience was as much about thrill as it was about comfort. Those seats offered a direct view of the engines, which, by the way, meant you could feel every shake and hear every roar up close. Comforting? Not exactly. Sitting there felt like flying inside a massive machine that constantly reminded you that you were hurtling through the skies in a metal beast. So why did they even create such a setup? Simple. Luxury was the ultimate selling point. Junkers wanted the G38 to attract the elite, the upper crust of society. This wasn't just a plane, it was a status symbol. But unlike the smooth, quiet flights we're used to today, passengers on the G38 got a raw, rumbling reminder of the sheer power and risk of early aviation. Once the G38 was unveiled, it caused a stir like no other. One passenger described the experience as like being on a ship in the sky, while a journalist dubbed it the Leviathan of the clouds. Passengers were amazed by the quiet ride in the main cabin, though those sitting in the wings recalled feeling each turn and bump in the air. The media painted it as the future of aviation. But for many, it was just terrifying. Honestly, the thought of flying was already daunting enough, and now you had this giant, metal behemoth dominating the sky. Some people genuinely wondered if it would fall right out of the air. Thus, the public developed a love-hate relationship with this plane. It was seen as a dangerous experiment, a ticking time bomb in the sky. After all, most planes of that era were small and easy to maneuver, not a sprawling monster with passengers lounging in the wings. Let's just say that if Instagram had existed in the 1920s, #GiantPlaneFears would have been trending. Despite all the concerns, the G38 made its grand debut in commercial service with Lufthansa, taking passengers across Europe. While it may not have been the fastest or easiest plane to maintain, its presence was undeniably impressive. People clamored for the chance to ride in this airborne mansion, complete with plush seating, observation lounges, and of course, those iconic wing seats. However, this massive aircraft came with a maintenance nightmare. The engines alone required constant attention. Keeping 4 of them running smoothly was a full-time job, and Lufthansa needed an entire team just for this one plane. Each engine had a unique maintenance schedule, and finding replacement parts wasn't simple. Special, oversized hangars had to be constructed just to house the G38, adding to its already staggering operational costs. And when things went wrong, repairs could take days, if not weeks. You could say it was like driving a vintage sports car, amazing to look at, but a bit of a headache to keep on the road. As with many grand creations of the early 20th century, the G38 couldn't escape the shadow of war. When World War II erupted, Germany's aviation industry shifted its focus from luxury to military might. The G38, initially conceived as a vision of peaceful luxury, was repurposed to meet the demands of wartime aviation. Unfortunately, the G38 wasn't built for combat. Despite attempts to use it for military transport, it proved to be too slow, too cumbersome, and ultimately too vulnerable in an era dominated by faster, deadlier aircraft. Its peaceful origins could not withstand the pressures of war, and by the early 1940s, it was grounded for good, a relic of a more hopeful time. In a way, the G38's fate mirrored that of Junkers' dream, ambitious but overshadowed by the harsh realities of the time. Today, the Junkers G38 is largely forgotten by all but the most dedicated aviation history enthusiasts. For these aficionados, it stands as a remarkable feat of engineering that was well ahead of its time. Although it was in operation for only a few short years, its influence endures. Many features of modern jumbo jets, such as high passenger capacities and expansive wingspans, can be traced back to Hugo Junkers and his innovative thinking. Long before flying buildings became a reality, he was already dreaming of them. The G38 may no longer grace our skies, but its legacy is undeniable. Its pioneering approach transformed air travel from a basic means of transportation into something truly luxurious and memorable. Hugo Junkers understood the need for this shift. His commitment to blending comfort with functionality set a standard that many modern aircraft still strive to achieve today. In fact, the Boeing 747, one of the first true jumbo jets, debuted in 1970 and could carry up to 660 passengers, an evolution of the very ideas that the G-38 championed nearly 4 decades earlier. And that's a wrap. So what do you think? Would you have dared to sit in the wing of a G-38, feeling every rumble and roar? Or is that a bit too much thrill for your taste? Drop your comments below. Before you go, don't forget to check out my recent video, Airbus A380 Surprises the Aviation World. Shocking revelation. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and press the bell icon. Thanks for watching.